Cool.
Welcome,
Thank you
Fee.
so much.
Mhm.
Thanks so much, Lizzie and beYogi for having me back. The previous webinar I did was Instagram for yogis, so I know that's on the beYogi website. You can always go check it out. And thanks everyone for coming in and spending your time with me. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and get started. Okay, here we go. All right, let me just present this and get this full screen. Awesome. So like Lizzie said, my name is Fi Simler, and I am a business coach. That just changed. I was, a marketing mentor, yogi, an Instagram expert. I landed on business coach because I like to not just give people information about social media, but also how that plays into the bigger aspects of their business. And I like my clients to feel like they are financially and spiritually abundant. So that is sort of my spiel, and a little bit more about me and what I do. So we'll go ahead and get started. Basically, this webinar is about how to market consciously. There's a lot that I hear from my clients and community about marketing, particularly people in the wellness industry, which is a lot of people that I work with, about, sales, marketing, particularly sales, and promotion. So I want to address some of that today. We'll be talking about mindset and authority first, and then messaging, sort of like brand messaging, and what to say about yourself, because that's something I hear a lot too, is like, I don't know how to talk about myself. I don't know what to say. I don't feel interesting enough online. So we'll address that a little bit. And then how to sell ethically. I think a lot of people feel icky about sales or self promotion, and just, you can always drop into the chat if that resonates with you or any of what I'm saying. Definitely, you've been there. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A, so you can ask me anything. Cool. So we'll start where I always tell people to start, which is with mindset, because even folks that have a large following or they're really established in their business still have to go back over and over again to mindset. It really affects everyone throughout the course of their entrepreneurial journey. So let's start with that, and let's talk about the difference between like mindset and authority, and how we can really step into our authority as yoga teachers, as business owners, and as people online. So first, this is one of my favorite things to do. To bust some limiting beliefs. I love like myth busting and challenging limiting beliefs that my clients and community has. So Lizzo is going to help us here today. So instead of saying, I'm not that interesting, I hear this a lot from people over and over again. You can try, my community wants to know me. Definitely people have an interest in knowing who you are as a person. We'll talk about that a little bit more with messaging, but really, it's not just about what you offer, it's about who you are, and like who you are as a person and your vibe. So try that on for size. Two, I don't want to be vulnerable online. There's definitely that. I hear that particularly like from people in wellness and yoga. And then, when you put yourself out there, you give people an opportunity to not only know you better, but to trust you and to really see your value. I don't know what to talk about on social media. You can try, I have valuable things to share. We've all been through yoga teacher training. You've invested in that. You have some takeaways. You probably have a booklet, either like in a room, on a bookshelf, or collecting dust somewhere. And, you took some things away from that investment that you made in your training. So you can definitely share that with people. I don't want to badger people. That's something I hear too. People are grateful for the reminder. Nowadays, there is so much just sheer content online, and especially on Instagram, where people are distracted, and there's stories, and there's pictures, and there's videos, and anywhere really online. But honestly, sometimes people are grateful for the reminder, whether that's sending like a newsletter that says, last chance for this, or just repeating yourself. People need to hear things more than once typically, because you are essentially competing for people's attention. And sometimes, there have been multiple times where I get like an email or I see something online. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much to this person for reminding me that I'm interested and that I want to do that, because people forget they're busy with their lives. And the last one, I don't want to be salesy. Try on, I sell from the heart. When you are authentic about what you offer and you know that selling is serving people, it makes it a lot easier to step into that space. So let me know which one of these resonated the most. I do see the chat. Okay, so Lizzie's welcoming people, but let me know if any of these resonated with you, or if you find yourself kind of thinking these thoughts as well.
Fee, what I have to say is definitely the one about reminders. That is a hard one. We have a lot going on all the time, and reminders for me, a follow-up email means the world of a difference. So I totally get that one, and that resonates with me in my job for beYogi. But yeah, tell us, everyone in the chat, like, tell us what resonated with you in that.
Yeah, so Sarah said vulnerable online resonates with me. Kim says Badger versus reminder. Yeah, so Sarah, I had a one-on-one consultation with a client the other day that said, where she was really concerned about this. And there's things you can do. You can set your Facebook group to private. If you're on Instagram, you can pick and choose. We pick and choose what we share. Stories are only available for 24 hours, so that disappears if you want it to, unless you put it on your highlights. So there's different tools that you can leverage to not have everything in front of everybody's eyes forever, all the time. And Kim, yes, definitely, a reminder is a really good thing for people to have, particularly like if you ever do like a free webinar or something. Just the hey, this is starting soon, or a reminder that this is coming up is going to, I think, move the needle for you as far as like attendance, or just like, getting staying at top of mind for people. So what is authority? Authority is so, so important. Basically, it's like the energy and the confidence that you have to share your magic, because people can have all the trainings in the world, and I've seen this as well with my peers. They go and they invest in training after training after training, and they're expensive and they're long term and they're a lot of commitment. And then they kind of, can find themselves like a little paralyzed with what to do with it, or how to like really take what they've learned and share it with people. So authority is something that I would recommend you do some work around. And this is not something that's going to happen overnight or by the end of this workshop. It's like that self-care that requires work and reflection and journaling, and it's work. So think about that when you're thinking about authority. But basically, that's what it is. Some people, if you've ever been in a room where a yoga teacher walks in and she is dressed like everyone else, but she or he walks in and you're like, oh, that's the person who's teaching me, right? And like that's authority. It's just that it's their vibe. And I know that yogis understand when I say it's their vibe, when other people might not. But it's just this energy that someone carries with them that says like, okay, I'm here, I'm holding space for you, and I'm here to share these things that are valuable to you. Also, embodying who our ideal client wants to be is so important, because oftentimes, especially at the beginning of our entrepreneurial journey, or when we're just starting to really shift our thinking as like a business owner, um, it's it's going to be a good goal for you to really embody like what your ideal client wants to be in the future. And um, it's just a good thing to come back to over and over again. And sometimes we're our best case study. When we don't have a ton of clients and, the history books, when we don't have a lot of testimonials, you can always share your story. And you probably have something in common with your ideal client. And you can tell that story and have it resonate with other people. And it's also like your unique angle. It's you. It's what you're bringing that's unique to you versus everybody else in the space. It's how you stand out with all of this static and all of these, all of these messages hanging out online at all times. Really, the biggest difference between you And, the millions of other yoga teachers is you. It's you. So you have to really own that. So, thinking of a yoga teacher as a yoga business, and here is something that I, struggle with the yoga industry, that sometimes studios will hire yoga teachers more or less like employees, where they're, showing up the same time every week. They have a consistent schedule, but they are paying us like an independent contractor, which is essentially like a business. But oftentimes we're told we can't promote ourselves as well. So yoga teachers sometimes get the short end of the stick with all of this stuff. And we saw it a lot last year, where people were breaking off and really starting to establish themselves online. So if you haven't already, then I invite you to just, what would it be like to think like a business owner? What does that mean to me? Like, who is this person who is a yoga business owner? What does she look like? What does he eat every day? What do her, his, or their habits look like? And really paint a picture in your head. And then I work backwards from there. What can I do today? What's one first step that I can take today to really step into that person that I see in my head, which is like, I think, my highest self. And give yourself permission to promote yourself again. That can be really scary, because we're essentially giving people an opportunity to reject us, but it gets easier. And know that you're never going to be everyone's everything, and your people, you will call them in if you're authentic to yourself and have that confidence and authority. And everyone else, maybe they'll find someone else who serves them better, and that's okay. So I see a couple things in the chat. Let me just see what this says. So Kelly says, this definitely resonates with me. Sometimes I feel like I'm putting the same reminder out there all the time. I don't want people to get sick of me. Things I've heard so many times. Yes, you're not alone with that. And I'm being authentic and just trying to encourage people to take yoga classes. And I'm sure, Kelly, you, like everyone else here, knows that yoga classes are good for people. I've never thought once like, oh man, I really regret that yoga class, Okay. So a couple mantras I want to share with you to step into your authentic authority. One, embodying the energy of your ideal client. Like, who does this person want to be? Like, you're essentially like their future, or however you want to frame it, right? What does this person need? What is this person's aspirations? Where are they at now versus what they're capable of, and haven't yet gotten there? And the latter part of that is you. And then also you can say, I stand in my power and expansion, and I'm inherently worthy of success and abundance. So I had to say my prices to myself in the mirror when I started doing some higher ticket items for people. Before I was a business coach, I worked as a manager at a design firm. I worked in the marketing industry for 6 years, and then I was also doing yoga on the side. I got trained in 2016. So I had to basically, like, first, I couldn't even hear myself talk. I would cringe every time. So when people say I cringe when I'm like, see myself back, on social media, I totally get it. I couldn't even forget video. I had trouble listening to myself and the sound of my own voice. And then, I had to look in the mirror and just tell my prices again, because it can be really scary to say, like, that'll be $250, or that will be, $1,500. And if that makes you feel some kind of way, which it did for me, repeating it gets easier. And so I just started saying it to myself, or listening to myself say it out loud in my house, or saying it to my dog, Henry. He's heard all of the spiels with my business. So, that's some practice that I had to work through. And that might be just, something that works for you. Okay, so we'll talk about messaging now that you've gotten a little more familiar with authority and mindset. So basically, messaging is, what you have to say, how you say it, and this is not just in written language or verbal. It's a lot of things that are more subtle. So let me see. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. Let me go back about authority. What also works for me is having an alter ego. And this works for some of my clients too. So if you need to develop an alter ego, and this person like has a different name, or like, they are just, whatever the pinnacle is for like what you see yourself as, then maybe, you step into that alter ego, or it's like your inner superhero, or whatever works for you. That sometimes gives us a little more like courage to put ourselves into these sometimes uncomfortable new spaces as business owners. It can even work like before you teach your first yoga class at a new place. I always feel like I got jitters when I did that. Or like a big yoga class if you're doing like a conference or something and you're like, wow, this is the biggest class I've ever taught. Then tap into like maybe that alter ego or that inner superhero, and that can, you know, maybe give you a little more bravery. Okay, so messaging, and Sarah says inner superhero. Nice. Yeah, it works. The alter ego works for me. Okay, so these are things that often, here I'm putting on like my nerdy marketing hat for you, because these are things that often get interchanged. They're used interchangeably, but they're not interchangeable. They're actually like very defined. So oftentimes, brand identity, or when people talk about brand, they're talking about like logo and colors and stuff. Like that's not really what a brand definition is. So, as you can see, like a business is basically like an organization of like one or more people that does something or offers something or produces something, right? And a brand is that part of a business that makes connections with people. So, for example, if I was like, Fi Simler Incorporated, my brand would be Shaky Yogi LLC. And this is how, how I present myself and my business to the world, and how I connect with people, and what my Instagram handle is, right? And basically, a brand is all of these things like ideas, actions, values, a culture. These are things that are probably inherent to you and your unique experience in life. And that's, particularly when you're like a solopreneur or working for yourself, those are things that are, you can't really like tease out from you. Like it's who you are. So again, like lean into that, because that's unique to you. And a brand identity, that's the stuff that's like, colors, fonts, like all of that fun stuff that you may do like with a designer, or put on your like graphic design hat and just kind of like check it out and do it for yourself. That is brand identity. Cool. So your messaging shows up, let's say on Instagram or on your Facebook page, or, if you have TikTok or whatever, this is how your messaging can show up online. So it can be like in your story, in your bio. And this is what I'm talking about when I say it's not just like verbal or written, like it's your style of graphics. Like this is why people pay graphic designers to create, graphics for them, or like brand identity, like whole entire packages, right? Um, and also like your posture, how I think about Gary Vee, who's like a big marketing person. Like he is so fiery, he speaks loudly, he has like really like very bold text. Like that's just who he is as a person, and that bleeds into his brand. If you think about Apple, Apple does it really well. It stands for like innovation, the next, like the next frontier in technology. And when brands are really clear on their messaging, people from all walks of life can come to the same conclusions about this. So, what I said about Apple just now, like about, innovation and technology and clean and seamless and, the future, someone maybe on the opposite side of the world who speaks a completely different language, grew up in a completely different culture, may come to the same conclusions about Apple. And that's the magic of brand messaging. I always tell my clients messaging is money, because you really need to get clear on who you are and what you stand for, and that will be a guiding light for how you show up. And it also, the people that are watching and interested in you, it will become so clear what you're about and what you have to offer them. And that will translate into your business. So messaging influences everything you do as a business. And this is why, I kind of take a step back when I take on clients, and I take care of this stuff first, because I'm like, let's set the foundation before we like start, popping off on Instagram or another social media platform. Um, because this is stuff that's so important. And also it makes selling so much easier when you get to that point, because it helps you build integrity. It helps you build confidence when you know who you are and what you stand for. And I just want to remind you that you are the special sauce for your brand. Like I said, the most unique thing is you. Okay. So let me talk about ethical sales, and let me know if you have any questions or if that stuff kind of resonated with you. Talking about messaging and branding can get a little esoteric. It really can be a little bit. It can be a little abstract, like when people really tease it out and how it affects people. Also, this stuff can be. It can be like very subtle. Another example I can give is like Coca-Cola. Like, what does Coca-Cola stand for? American, traditional, like traditional values, like just it's very American. I think, even though it's a global brand. I think about Christmas because they have such a strong Christmas campaign with like Santa. Um, and these are probably things that they may come up for you as well when we bring up like these huge brands um, that consistently like go back to like what do we stand for, and they committed to it, and it's consistent throughout like generations of them existing. Okay, so ethical sales. I can do a whole workshop on selling because, particularly, like I said, wellness and yogis have big feelings about selling, and they shy away from it a lot. But I think that saying like, I serve, I deserve. Selling is serving any sort of like mantras you have about selling, or any like maybe some stories that you have. We'll get to that, and really do some reflection around that. Really, like, owning a business is a lot about like getting to know yourself more and doing the work and reflection to show up as your best self for your people. So 3 things that you can do every day in your business. One is self-care, 2 is marketing, and 3 is sales. I was doing a lot of marketing at one point and not anything for selling, because 1, I was scared, and 2, I didn't really know how to start. Like, what is step 1 to selling? And I had done it before and not really gotten the results that I wanted. So I was like, what's the point? I don't really want to do it. I'm just going to keep marketing myself. But if you keep marketing and then you don't take it home, that doesn't really like bring in the sustainability for your business. So I like to tell myself every time I create something new or I start, promoting something, this is how I like to feel. Like, my offers are so valuable. They are packed with value. I know that they're going to change people's business, or I know they're going to transform their Instagram, but also feel so sustainable for me. And this is the same for like a $50 offer or a $3,000 offer. I like to feel that way for everything that I put out. And so it's like a little check for me, and I encourage you to try it. Does this feel so valuable and also feel sustainable for me? Like, two things I want to do with my business, and this is why I'm trying to grow and scale, is 1, I want to donate to causes that I believe in. And 2, I want to feel like like I can take care of my family and not be in fight or flight mode, not be in that like scarcity mindset. Because when we are in fight or flight, or we're stressing about money, it gets in the way of like being able to show up and hold space for others. So I encourage you to make friends with money if you haven't. And I've done work with one-on-one clients around this, because people, again, have like really big feelings about money. We are told, excuse me, that as yoga teachers, we need to love it so much. Why are we doing yoga why aren't we doing it for free? There is so much free yoga online. People have that option already. If you don't need to make money off your yoga, then maybe you start a nonprofit about yoga, or you work with nonprofits, or you frame it in a way where you give all of your proceeds like to maybe a nonprofit or a cause. But if you do need the money that you make from your yoga classes to, buy groceries, then it's fair to ask for money. It is. Okay, so when those swirling myths or stories about money start to enter your head, ask yourself, is this true? And really, you can do this for anything about yourself. Is this thing that I believe about myself true? Is this thing that I believe about money true? And just ask and get curious. And then you can ask, like, where did I learn this? I like to start with something and work backwards. Even like meditation, like when I get really distracted, I'm like, how did I get here? Okay, what did I think about before this? Okay, before this. Okay, before this. And then eventually, like, I get to the center, right? Where I'm like, my brain was silent for like half a second. So, and then also, how can I reframe this and just get curious and see if you can make some pivots about money mindset. So, really, with selling, we want to empower people um, to be as informed as possible about what we are offering. We want to give people the ability to make a good decision whether or not something is for them. And the way we can do that, so let me just go back one slide. The way we can do that is just being really clear. It goes back to messaging, right? Like, this is for you if XYZ. This is what I have to offer. And again, that's what, that's why authority mindset really like shows up again and again. And informing people really in really clear detail about what the return on investment is going to be for something and what they're going to get from an offer. Typically, offers that are lower ticket, people want like the details. 1, 2, 3. What am I going to get? Higher ticket items, people are often, you can paint the picture for them for what the transformation is going to look like. I personally know that yoga has transformed my life. It got me on a path where this is where I am now, probably because yoga contributed to that greatly. So I don't know if I would be doing this if I hadn't started doing yoga seriously, 12 years ago. So how do we really communicate something like that? Like, the return on investment can literally transform your life path forever. You can say that, but I would say also to be more specific and again, authority, like not being afraid to tell people it can transform your life, because we can't really put a price on that. Another example is I have fibromyalgia. I go to the chiropractor once a week so I can be able to get out of bed and live my life. That's, cost me $25 copay every time I go. But really the real value in that is that it allows me to do my job and make a living, feel good in my body, feel like, my body belongs to me, and feel empowered in my own skin. These are things, again, that you can't really put a value on. They are so, so valuable to me personally and the transformation that I've seen, which is why I keep going. So I see a couple things in the chat. So Amber said, I said that today, yoga can change your life. Absolutely. And I don't think you should be afraid of telling that. I'm sure you've encountered other people that believe that too, especially as yoga teachers. Probably you got into yoga, or maybe you got into yoga because you saw the transformation in your life and you wanted to share it with other people. That's why I started teaching. So that's a story you can tell and walk people through that story and get them to know, again, who you are and where you come from, what you stand for. I've been talking a lot, so let me get a drink. Okay. So also, going back to empowering your buyer, really teasing it out, being clear about the return on investment, the value that they're going to see, who it's for, all of these questions you can ask, like who, what, where, why, how. And then continuing to show up and really give people more information about an offer or a product that you're offering people. And then you can send something out like an FAQ email. You can put a page with FAQ. You can answer questions like on social media, because people will have questions about your offer that is maybe keeping them from diving in. So they're called objections, these things that are keeping people from going ahead and buying. And people always say like handle objections or like overcome their objections. And I think sometimes that can sound really icky, but it's just like, that's what the name is in this field. So what that just means is like helping people make an empowered, informed decision about your offer. Sometimes it's for them, sometimes it isn't. And you can answer those questions on the front end, again, to give people as much information and as many details as they need to have before saying, yes, I want this. And okay, so let me go through here. Okay, so how to pitch ethically. Pitching can be really nerve-wracking, and so you'll either get a yes, which is the best answer, a no, which is the second best answer, or nothing, which is the worst answer, because then you don't have an answer at all, right? But usually when people say nothing, it means a no, and that's okay. But at the same time, you can follow up with those people because people are busy, and I wouldn't take it seriously. And the more you pitch people and get comfortable with the fact that, you might get rejected, you might get ignored, you have to release the outcome and know that like the people that are for you, and can I do more to make it very, very clear who this is for and what it provides? So the onus is on you, and getting that clarity for people is like really going to help them make a decision to say yes to what you offer. And also, like, if they like you and like your vibe. Okay. So, first, again, empower your audience, be really clear about what it entails, any offer. Two, when you pitch, make sure that you have a relationship with someone. I don't know if you're on Instagram and you've gotten cold DMs. I get them almost every day, where it's, someone's just like, hey, do you want to buy this thing? And of course, like, I ignore those messages. I don't know if you've gotten them, but it happens a lot to many like people of all types. And it rubs people the wrong way a lot because they don't have a relationship with I don't have a relationship with these people that are pitching me cold. And so I would say have a relationship with someone, which is why I always tell people to like really lean into building an authentic, like warm community on whatever platform you decide to show up. You can start with one platform. You don't have to do all of the things, but if you are most attracted to like email marketing, then you can start with email marketing. If you're most attracted to Instagram, start with Instagram. You don't need to do Instagram and YouTube and Facebook groups and this and that. And just having those relationships where you're social on social media, or you consistently provide value in your emails, will make people more accepting and warmer to you hopping like in their DMs, or even coming up to them in person if you're somewhere. And three, ask for consent. So the way that I do this, and this is big for me, I say, something like, hey, I don't know if you've seen this, but I'm working on this, 8-week group coaching program. I think you'd be really great for it, for a great fit. I know we've talked briefly about you wanting to monetize your Instagram. Can I tell you some more about it? And for me, like, asking for consent is so important because I'm a business coach, but at the center of my business is like yoga philosophy and yoga principles. So that just resonates really strongly with my ethics. And you're giving people, again, the ability to say yes or no. Most people, if you have a relationship with them, and again, this goes back to authority, if you think that they're good for a program, tell them. The other day, I made 2 sales last week that I'm going to tell you about. last week I went live with someone in my community. He's like a tarot reader, and now he's really pivoting his business into doing like a spiritual coach sort of thing. And I went live with him for the next 24 hours. I was thinking like, I could really help him. I think I could really help him because he's sort of at like a pivoting point. And so the next day I was like, hey, you know what? I've thought about working with you for the last 24 hours. So I'm just going to tell you that. And I'm going to tell you that I really want to work with you, and that based on everything you told me, I think a 2-hour session, I think we could like really plan out how you want to change, what your new campaign looks like, etc. And I laid everything out really clearly for him. And he goes, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds awesome. The second thing I did was I talked to another gal. She was in one of my workshops. We had a little bit of back and forth conversation. And same thing, she has a lot of like mindset things that she wants to work on. And she also was saying that, she just got done with this big business program, and I've also done it. And, I told her, okay, well, let's work on this mindset stuff, because it sounds like, you need some reframing, and we can, discuss that. And then also, if you want to go over anything in the program, I'm familiar with all the materials because I've done it too. And I think that, this would be good for you, this one-on-one session. And she goes, yeah. So that's where, authority and mindset and your messaging and your sales come together. You're able to say, okay, this person needs that, and this other person needs something else. They were two different people with two completely different things. The second gal was a graphic designer, and I gave them two different like one-on-one sessions with me. So that's like I said, it's it takes some practice, but that's how it shows up like in real life. And again, tell them how that you think this would benefit them, and being really excited about what you have to offer people helps so much. Because if you have something and you're like, oh, this thing, it's like, it's kind of boring me, it doesn't feel aligned. Or if your prices are too low and you're like, God, I did all this work and now I'm feeling resentful. That's where you need to go back and tweak. And then you can ask them, like, what are your questions? Do they need more information? Is there something that's still unclear to them? So this is a really good, like, sort of 5-step thing that I put together that I think would, help you sort of as a framework for your next pitch. Okay, I see something in the chat, so let me see. Okay. Yes, Sarah says cold pitches and unaware automated emails. Yuck. Yeah, I agree. Okay, perfect. So here's what I want to share with you guys. If you have a desire to, again, work on that messaging, and this is oftentimes, like, I am, like I said, an Instagram expert. So I take all of this stuff and I apply it to Instagram and how this shows up, and how your captions and your writing and your copywriting can help leverage your business. So it's usually $9 to $7. It's a nice, like, short course that's you can go at your own pace. And I will offer it for $47 for everybody today. Here's the code, this link, and I think maybe Lizzie, you have oh, perfect, on it already. So that's the code that's in the chat, and it's for the next 2 days. So Friday at 11:59 p.m. is when this is expiring, and you can get $50 off, and just jump in and see if this will help you. And let me kind of outline everything that's in it. So there's 5 lessons. There is 20 done for you captions. So if that's sometimes the barrier for showing up, or you make a cool graphic, or you shoot something and you're like, what do I say? I have, like, basically fill in the blank captions for you that you can do with. It's a 23-page PDF, and it has these big examples from stuff that I've literally done in my own Instagram. That's where I pulled it from. There's also caption prompts, Canva templates for you, a manifestation guide, a line break generator. If you've ever seen like these weird line breaks online, that will get rid of it, make it look really clean for you, and you have lifetime access to this course. So basically, I'm on Instagram here at Shaky Yogi. I post usually 2 to 3 times a week, and I give you a lot of quick wins for social and for your business. So thank you so much for having me. Lizzie, I know we have time for some questions, so I guess I will open up the floor and see if anybody has any questions for me.
Well, thank you, Fee, for this. I was writing notes the whole time. I am definitely going to use just thoughts about marketing, thoughts about sales. I actually had a specific question for you, and I think you did answer it, but I think it's something I would like to go over again and just like really quick, simple thing. But the question is, can you explain the difference between marketing versus selling? I think most people, we think it's the same thing. However, it's two different approaches. And if we could just go over that real quickly, I think it would be beneficial again.
Yeah. So, marketing is, creating awareness around your brand, showing up saying, like, this is who I am. This is why I started this business. This is where you can find me online. Um, Anything about, basics with like, just making people aware that your business exists. And also, just creating community for me is marketing. um, Creating a establishing yourself as an authority and as an expert in your field, for me, is marketing. This is like how I apply it to like digital marketing, and particularly with messaging and just like any sort of promo. Sales are more like how to bring it home, like how to move the needle, how to get those sales, and so that you start to um, you start to build like this sustainable business where you're not in the red, where you're making a profit, where you can see, okay, I can take this and maybe it grows next year, or I can like take this group of people, okay, what's next for them? It would make sense for them. Here's the next step in their, customer journey. And that starts to get into like what you offer, your product suite, your customers' journey with like your offers. And that stuff that is a little, that stuff that, I'd have to go into detail about, but basically knowing like having a product suite where anybody can jump in at any point, no matter where they are, in their life, is really important because it offers like a diverse. It's a diverse offers for diverse people, and also knowing like what the customer journey looks like for people. Like they they follow you on Instagram. That's like step one. Now they know, who you are, the fact that you exist. They binge your content, or that, they continuously see your content because you're providing stuff that's valuable for people. Then you market yourself and you have a campaign about your new offer, your new like, workshop that you have coming up. Then, you talk to them in the DMs and you drop that link for the sale and they buy. That would be an example of like a customer journey. So that's more like sales, like sales strategy and everything, which I love. I think sales psychology is really, really intriguing, and I love to read about it. And I see what works, because it is psychology. There's so many like little triggers and little things that people can see and how it can affect them online. And it's really interesting for me to read about. So that's how I would tease those two things apart.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you. Um, if the people that are still here, we have 15 minutes. If you want to drop a specific, challenge that you have faced, Fee can just quickly rattle something off. Obviously, we will need to connect with her for specifics, but if you have a specific challenge that you face, whether it's in marketing or, that customer journey, whether it's just trying to get new students in your yoga studio or in your classes, feel free to drop them in the chat right now, because this is your free time.
Yeah, I'm
Be
happy to
able to
answer any
answer that
questions you
question.
have.
But well, thank you. We will give everyone a few minutes, but this was really amazing. And for everyone here, just FYI, we will be sharing this on our blog as we do with all of our webinars. So you'll be able to rewatch it. Share with your friends. If you share the link with family, your students, whoever. And then also, I will be sending out an email tomorrow around the same time that, so around 1 p.m. Eastern, with an email to the link for the webinar, the replay. And then also the links that that Fee has provided us. So her offer of the social kit, the social caption kit, that'll be there. And then also how to connect with her on Instagram and everything like that will be in that email.
Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. I see Esther wrote in the chat. She said, maybe you went over this earlier. How are some easy ways to show you're an expert on social media? That's a great question. So you can, say, you can, there's a few ways. My brain's working so fast. You can tell people what a typical day looks like for you. So anything that's behind the scenes is really cool too. I think that's why people love like in process videos or like how it's made. That is something good. Any like behind the scenes, like, how you are putting together, or like a sneak peek of, your computer screen for something that you have coming up. You can tell people why you structure a workshop a certain way, why you have sequence things a certain way in your class. Just explaining, sometimes like when we're experts in something, our brains go so fast. We don't realize like, oh, this thing that's really easy for me is actually like people have lots of questions about it. So if you don't know, maybe what your students have questions about, ask them. You can ask them. If you're good friends with them, you can, send them a quick text, email, talk to them in person. Market research is so, so important. So yeah, anything that shows like what's in your brain, and any like steps that you take to get to a final product is a good way to show your expertise. Or like also on social media, people love quick wins. So like 3 yoga poses for sleeping better tonight, 3 back bends to like open your heart chakra, anything like that, like 3, 5, anything that's a quick like list, is going to probably do well on social media. Okay. So Kim says, thank you. Oh, my pleasure, Kim. That's what I'm here for. Hannah says, what are some good resources for social psych sales stuff? Me, I don't know right off the bat, any sort of website that I have read for that sort of stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is stuff that I've learned like in programs and courses myself. So yeah, I mean, just some like couple of sales psychology things, always having a sense of urgency for anything that you roll out. And it's not that you're like falsely creating this, like you actually do need to sign up by this date. You actually do only have 5 slots open for one-on-ones this month. Like anything that you think, okay, well, that's limited. I should, tell people that so they're aware of the limitations. Everybody is limited in energy, and I highly recommend you be realistic about your energy and how you can spend it, and not overextend yourself, because sustainability is one of the main things that I teach people. It's applicable in really anything you do in a business. But tell people like, if you're only taking on this many people, or there's a date limit, or after this date, the price is going up. That's some good sales. And also social proof. Social proof is so important. People will oftentimes think of social proof as just testimonials, and it's not. So, social proof is a sales psychology technique that basically says people are into what other people are into, which is why, like, maybe if you like one yoga studio more than another one, but all your friends are over here, you might be like, well, I'm gonna go to this one so I can like hang out with my friends. Or like, well, there's a reason why all these people are like excited about this one. So it gets in your head subconsciously. So I've seen this online when people put up sticky notes, when they're like, oh man, all these people are in my workshop, and they have sticky notes with different names on it, that they're using social proof, where like all of these people think it's a good idea. I can tell you till the cows come home that I think my workshop is amazing, but let all these people tell you for me. And also FOMO, it like, generates FOMO. We're like, I've looked at one of those and been like, I want my name on a sticky note. And I've like felt FOMO, which is a sales like psychology technique as well. So I guess those are some that I can give you. But yeah, I'm not sure of any particular resource off the top of my head.
Thank you, Fee. We will definitely link all the ways you can get into contact with you in the webinar, and also that email that I was talking about earlier. Again, thank you so much for spending an hour with us today. It was super beneficial. I'm so glad we were able to run through this topic on the first day of National Yoga Month.
Yes.
So we hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Any final words, Fee?
Don't let social media tell you your worth, because it shouldn't. I just put something on my Instagram that Instagram shouldn't make you feel like crap.
I love
Yeah.
that. That's a great reminder for us all, definitely in this world. Well, thanks again, everybody, and we will see you again.
Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye.